What is up, guys? Welcome back to another fantasy football video. This video we're going to be covering some players to watch. Specifically, we're going to be covering the midfielders to watch from game week 7 to 12. I've been thinking about doing a video on this for a little while, simply because I think from game week 7 to 12 is basically the fixtures from whereby there's a sort of a gap between now and the Christmas period. If you look at the fixtures just quickly, game week 13 onwards is when the fixtures started to heat up. So it starts to be like, very close together. So you've got 27th, 30th, 4th, 11th, 15th, 18th. And really the period from 13 to 21, I may even be wildcarding or the teams may change quite a bit. So I wanted to do a quick players to watch video for game week 7 to 12 because that's a good little chunk, basically the October and November period. So let's get stuck into that. We're going to start on midfielders first. Okay, so first up we've got Jack Grealish. This is my first player to watch in terms of in top 5. He's probably the number 5 spot, but he is a player to watch over these next few fixtures simply because he's been very close to performing recently. He's been very close to getting returns. It's just that Man City haven't been clicking quite as well as I thought they would, and they have had tough fixtures. If you look at them, they've played Arsenal, Tottenham, and Chelsea, and Leicester, so not the easiest of fixtures. Southampton, probably a bit of a surprise that there was 0-0, but really the only fixtures that they really performed in are Norwich and Arsenal, and even then Arsenal is not always an easy fixture. So really I think that the time for them to start bringing big hauls is coming. You've got 3 really good fixtures here from game weeks 8 to 10, specifically 8 and 10. You've also got the fixtures for 11 and 12, which I think United is a decent fixture because of the derby, and also Everton, who aren't always the strongest team. So I think that Jack Grealish is a really good player to watch. He has got really good stats in terms of chances created. I think he's got, I think he's one of the highest in terms of creativity. If you just look at midfielders, his creativity is really high. So he's got a good chance of getting an assist. In terms of threat, let's just have a look at threat. He's also pretty high as well. So he's top 5 in terms of threat created. So I think he's a really good option. He's just not quite coming to the points just yet, but he will do. I think that he will come into the points. It's just a matter of time. So keep an eye out on Jack Grealish if you can. He is in the premium bracket of 8 million or semi-premium, so it's not always the easiest to get in. But if you had Pogba or maybe Son, it's a good downgrade or upgrade to Grealish, or should straight swap, I should say. But yeah, I think 8 million is not a bad price bracket, and it's better than Torres. He also seems to be starting pretty much every game. If you look at his minutes there, really good minutes for a Pep Guardiola team. So yeah, definitely Jack Grealish at number 5. Number 4, I've gone with Conor Gallagher. This isn't an easy pick to decide on because he is a budget price, and also he's playing for a team which I really don't rate that much in Crystal Palace. But the reason I've gone with him is he just seems like one of those players who could just turn up. He reminds me a bit of like an Ilkay Gundogan of last season, as he's playing in that kind of number 8/number 10 role, where he just kind of pops in the box and gets goals. If we just look at his previous points tally, he got 2 goals against West Ham, 2 assists against Tottenham, and yeah, he didn't perform against Liverpool, but Liverpool are a really tough team, especially at home. And then against Brentford, I mean, neither team scored, so when Crystal Palace do score, it seems like he is involved. So I think that's a really good sign of a good player to come, especially a good budget player. If we just have a look at their fixtures, from game week 7 to 12, they've got some really good fixtures here. They've got Leicester, Arsenal, not the easiest fixture, but then Newcastle at home, really good. City, that's a tough fixture, but then they've got Wolves and Burnley, two really good fixtures as well. So if he's a budget player, you can also just bench him for the City game. So I think that he can be a really good pick, Conor Gallagher, especially in the budget options. But really, I also want to highlight his threat as well. So for a 5.7 million midfielder, to get 92 threat is really high. 54 the previous week, and then obviously against Brentford it was lower, but still really good. And his bonus points aren't that bad as well. So he got in the game that he got 2 goals, he got 50 BPS, which is actually pretty good. It's a sign that he could definitely get bonus points. Yeah, so I think that he just seems like a very threatening player, and even though Crystal Palace aren't the best team, I do think that he could pop up with the goals here and there. And for only 5.7 million, I think it's a no-brainer for me. I definitely think I'm going to be getting him in my team at some point. So yeah, number 4, Conor Gallagher. Number 3, I've gone with Ismaila Sarr. I think it's kind of a no-brainer given his recent performance that he's done really well. But I happened to get him in just before the Norwich game for that good run of fixtures, and I think it really paid off because obviously because he's getting goals, but he's also getting into really threatening positions. He's not really like an out-and-out winger. He's more of like an inside forward. So he definitely gets into goal scoring position. He's taking shots in the box. So I think that Ismaila Sarr is a really good option for, especially as a budget option, for the next few fixtures. He's got game week 7 to 12. He's got Leeds, Liverpool, Everton, Southampton, Arsenal, and United. There's pretty good fixtures aside from maybe United and Arsenal. There's some really good fixtures. I definitely think Watford can score goals, especially on the counter. So especially for the Leeds game and also for the Southampton and Everton games where they're pressing or try to play through the middle, he could do some real damage there. So 6.2 million, I think he's a really good option. It's just a case of being patient with him because he is a budget midfielder. So if he doesn't score you points every week, don't just get rid of him. Like, be patient with your budget midfielders because they're budget for a reason. So yeah, I think that he's a really good option. Fixtures look pretty good. 6.2 million is a pretty good price. So I put him as my number 3. So yeah, number 3, Ismaila Sarr. Number 2, I've gone for Rafinha. Now I know he's actually a very popular pick in general, at least amongst the FPL Reddit community. He's a pretty popular pick, but I think this guy should be owned by more players. Now, he was a bit of a risk because of his hip injury and the flags on him, but he did start last game and he got a goal. But when he does start, he looks so threatening. He always looks like he's the guy that's going to get a goal. And I'm not sure which game it was. I think it was the Newcastle game. He could have easily gotten a hat-trick in that game. So he's doing really well, and especially in this gap between game week 7 and 8, where we've got the international break, he'll have time to recover a bit, and he won't be as plagued by injuries. So I think that's a really good opportunity to get him in. He's only 6.5 million, and the fixtures are looking really good. So he's got Watford, Southampton, Wolves, Norwich, Leicester, and Tottenham. Those are some 6 really good fixtures. So yeah, definitely consider Rafinha. If you were to look at his stats as well, in terms of threat, he's producing some pretty high threat values. So 46, 64, not super high, but he's also got the creativity as well. So he's producing an average of, I'd say, around 30 creativity. So that's really good. On the bonus points, he's not amazing, but he does get bonus points. So I mean, he's got 3 bonus points already. So he can do really well. It's just a case of being patient with him again as he's a budget midfielder. Leeds fixtures, I think, are really good. So now's a really good time to get him in. So if you're looking for that budget midfielder, I definitely say Rafinha. Get him into your team. He's at number 2. Now, at number 1, I've gone with a really risky pick in Nicolas Pepe. I don't know why I've decided to go with Nicolas Pepe, but I wanted to go with a left field option, someone who's really risky. And because the players I've already mentioned, I've actually had them in my team previously. Aside from maybe Rafinha, I'm always either looking to get them into my team or I've had them in my team. So I really want to go with a left field pick, and I think that Nicolas Pepe is a really interesting pick. Arsenal haven't hit form, like really good form just yet, but their fixtures look really good. So they've got Brighton away, Crystal Palace at home, Aston Villa at home, Leicester away, Watford at home, and then Liverpool away. Now, other than the Liverpool away, pretty much all those fixtures are pretty good. I'd say that Mikel Arteta isn't the best player, isn't the best manager in the world, but I think that he sees Nicolas Pepe as his Raheem Sterling, and if Nicolas Pepe can hit some form, he can definitely bring in some points. So if we just have a look at his threat values, he's hit 51, a 92, 48, and he also had 84 creativity in that game against Norwich, which is pretty phenomenal. So if he can do the same against probably Palace and Villa, or maybe even Watford, I can definitely see him getting some really good points. Now, Arsenal aren't some super prolific scoring team, but that's just simply because they've not hit form yet. I think that eventually when they do hit form, that he will come into the points. It's just a matter of time. Now, I don't always rate Arsenal necessarily, especially with Mikel Arteta, but this is a risky pick. I put him at number 1 because I wanted to go for a gamble. But if you're looking for that punt, that risky punt, 7.2 million, it's not the cheapest, but it is a risky punt, and he can definitely get those goals. It's just a case of will he hit form. So for the fixtures, he can definitely do it. With the stats, I think he can do it. And with the price, if you can get him in, maybe upgrade a slightly budget midfielder or downgrade a premium midfielder. If you want to take that risk, I definitely think he's a really good pick. If you want to take a risk, that is. So yeah, number one, I've gone for Nicolas Pepe. Don't go crazy over that. But he is a risk, but he can pay off big time if he does get in the points. Okay, so thank you for watching the video. Thank you if you stuck through to the end. That's great as well. Make sure to subscribe and like the video. I'll be putting out another video on top 5 defenders, goalkeepers, and forwards to watch over the next, I'd say, next few days. I think that midfielders is the hardest one to do, so take it with a pinch of salt. I don't think all of them will perform, but the chances are that some of them will at least perform. Definitely think that Grealish will perform, and so will Sarr. So yeah, so definitely keep an eye on that. Keep an eye out for those videos, and until then, take care.